was watching the game.
Welcome to championship weekend. From the outside, William Perry. Schellenberger, Peter Garno rifles it past for the reigning champions, bringing the heat.
Take my whole bottle of melatonin off the counter.
Perry scores! It's a one-goal game. Time running down. Gray knocked down. Reigning champs. Hang on. For the first time since last year's thrilling national semifinal, it's Virginia and North Carolina. These two played 3 times a season ago. Virginia won twice, all 3 games, barn burners. And tonight, we get to see the nation's 2 best players.
Who's you?
I think me and Lily were.
Good evening from Chapel Hill. Welcome to our little clown college. Anish Shroff, Paul Carcaterra, Quint Kesnick. If you like espresso, if you like caffeine, hold off. This game is naturally caffeinated, up and down, back and forth. And Kark, what we love about it, star power at a premium.
Yeah, and for Carolina, Chris Gray, he's been an absolute magician in 2022. And for me, the ball doesn't have to live in his stick. That's kind of his secret sauce. You look at his passing ability. Flick of the wrist gets teammates like Jacob Kelly involved. Everyone feasts when Gray is the conductor. But in 2022, I think his most improved attribute is his stretch shooting. He's really dropping some heat from downtown, and his shot has been really hard for goalies to track. If you press out on him, he beats you as a Dodger with some ridiculous moves. When you look at his college career, people aren't talking about it much. Chris Gray, by the end of this season, could very well be the all-time leading point scorer in Division I lacrosse
so he
history.
went by
He can move into
Connor
4th
Fields in this
all-time
game.
with 3 points today. And on the other side,
It's
Quince,
2-0.
Connor Schellenberger, only a redshirt sophomore, but the best player in the nation.
And eventually he may reel in Chris Gray. Why? Well, because he can torch corners from range. His vision is exceptional. He reads defenses and he finds teammates. He's unselfish. He's tenacious and agile. And over the playoffs last year and the first 5 games of this year, he is on fire. Watch the agility here. Whoop. Ball's in the back of the net. There's no player right now in the nation playing as well as Connor Schellenberger.
He has scored at least 5 points in 9 consecutive games.
At some point,
Virginia, the 2-time defending champion.
if he
North Carolina
passed,
coming off a
somebody passed. I
championship
think maybe
weekend
he passed him
appearance.
to
Lars Tiffany, season number 6 at the helm of UVA. His Cavaliers have won the last 2 national championships, and this may be his best team.
what's his name?
Joe
Jason.
Bresci
It was
on
either
the other
Jason or
sideline.
Andrew.
Lost a
I think it
lot
was
of experience
Andrew.
from the midfield, from the defense from a season ago.
Like shot it low,
Talked
like he
about
caught
he
it kind of
still
on the
has
crease
Chris
and
Gray,
did like a hockey, like
who's
brought
had
it
the
low
Hercules
to
for
shoot
UNC
it,
in the early going.
and he missed.
And exceeding expectations
And
in terms of his numbers without those midfielders.
Petey Lasala and Zach
just
Tucci
like-
at the face-off X. And Tucci wins the opening draw for North Carolina. And somebody lost a glove.
A little Hussas out there. He's
And Carolina will start with the ball on offense. A Virginia defense missing Kate Sawstead today. UNC's first midfield out there, Ryan O'Connell,
and there's
Henry
like 30
Schertzinger, who's
seconds
got
of
it,
shot clock.
and Lance Tillman. Jacob Kelly from behind the cage, working on Scott Bauer. Kelly turns, fires, misses wide. And the backup to UNC.
Well, they already put up the game, so now we can actually watch the first 8 minutes.
Well, Carolina's offense really perked up last week in that win against Denver. Early on in the year, midfield production was not there. They found that last week with Lance Tillman.
And they showed runs and the ability to match Denver because Denver offensively gave
I mean, I'm
Carolina
actually
some
kind of
trouble.
glad that it was
Credit
close
those young
at times,
midfielders.
and
Credit guys like
they had
Jacob
to
Kelly
sort of
picking up
step
some
up
slack.
a little, because like I don't want us to
Nicky
lose
Solomon's
these
pass
games,
out of
but
bounds, our first turnover. That first
I mean,
midfield had 11
this
points
doesn't make
against
any
Denver.
sense. But actually having us
And
play
now we get our first look
crappy
at
a little bit
Virginia on
means-
offense, where they have been cooking. A UVA team
I don't know.
that is
It's just to
5-0.
work on.
4 of the wins have come by at least 9 goals.
They are
This is the problem, I think, for Carolina. This is one of Virginia's best attack in school history. Without Will Bowen, who used his grad transfer at Georgetown, there's a lot of missing pieces. Can they match Virginia?
Bounce shot and a score.
Yeah.
It's the freshman Griffin Schutz, the #1 player out of high school.
Yeah,
that is a Triceratops going downhill.
He's a problem. He's a matchup problem. You watch the Cavaliers operate on offense, it's like watching an NBA team. They pick on mismatches. Schutz has got the great size. He's a freshman. What does he go, 6'4", 235 pounds? And he gets ahead of steam, and it's lights out.
And I love this dodge, too, because when you watch Schutz on tape, he's doing a lot of inverting, coming from behind the cage, there with a traditional down-the-alley dodge. When you see the momentum, you see the strength-size combo.
No, I'm hearing you use the word.
That is a complete outlier in the sport of lacrosse right now for a freshman to be like that.
Strength of a caveman, finesse of a ninja.
Virginia's got a dichotomy of body types on offense. Some smaller, quick guys, some bigger bodies. It's just a difficult matchup.
Jeff Connor, 4 in orange, back in the Virginia lineup. He missed the last
I've been like 2,000
upper body injury, and he feasted against North Carolina last year. 7 of his 14 goals came against the Heels.
It's like a zone defense for North Carolina.
Here's Connor Schellenberger, leading the nation in assists per game. Now Connor, back of the net. He continues his dominance against UNC.
And just what the doctor ordered. You mentioned Connor was banged up, missed some games. When you looked at the Virginia offense, the one missing piece was the stretch shooting from the midfielders. And now that you have Connor back, Peter Garneau heats up. This team becomes almost unscoutable.
So, like,
when you think about it,
when
right?
I was
you have
there,
a guy like Matt Moore and Connor Schellenberger.
So he was just like
running
around the
and they're going
field.
to have these midfielders getting involved early.
He probably ran like 3
And at the
miles.
face-off X, they've got Petey LaSala, who since the beginning of last year has taken almost 100 face-offs against Carolina. Tucci, though, has won 2 of the first 3. Carolina loves early offense. Here is Alex Bresci, nephew of head coach Joe Bresci, and the first touch for Chris Gray. Last week, 8 points against Denver after not practicing all week. Had a lower body injury.
In goals
and that's
or
a
in
great
points?
matchup to watch. Gray against Cole Kastner, the 6'7" Colossus.
I thought.
I'm just trying to get his points for me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, you haven't updated Thomas.
I thought I read before the
Here's
game
Kelly.
that Chris Gray was averaging 6.81 and Connor was averaging
Gray
6.6.
nearly lost his footing.
But
Over the
that's
wing and the
I
feet
don't
of
know
the
where-
score.
oh, they said that in the
who Joe Bresci
UVA
said
press release.
needs to step it up a little bit. He's got the potential to do so.
Quint, this is the magic of Chris Gray.
Watch him operate up top. You'll see he ultimately slips, but he's able to gain an edge and draw the adjacent double team. And you'll see him handle this right here. He catches it up top, slips, draws 2, kicks it to the adjacent man, and how easy is Cole Herbert's job? You want to get a guy into a strong shooting streak? Well, pair him up with Chris Gray. It's a room service feed, turn and rake.
To me, the recognition of understanding where that adjacent pressure is coming from after he slips down and rolls in 1, the lacrosse intellect of 4 in blue is off the charts.
And I will add
15
to
for
that,
40.
Paul, the ability to attack the goal from behind, from the wing, or up top. Offensive coordinator Dave Metzger does a masterful job with Chris.
A transfer from Boston University, now in his 3rd season with North Carolina. Gray set the Tar Heels single-season points record last year. Here's Henry Schertzinger, first food reference of the game, coming in 3, 2, 1.
Yes, Schertzinger's brother opened up a donut shop in Chapel Hill. Nando's. Not open, though,
Not open
on
today.
Thursdays.
Not open today. Killing me. Killing me, Nando's.
Here comes Jacob Kelly. Missing wide, and Nicky Solomon, the backup.
It's interesting to watch Carolina's attack. I love the play of Nicky Solomon, 8 in blue, and Jacob Kelly, 9 in blue. They're not carry the ball type attackmen, but they are super smart without the ball in their stick.
Now, one thing we're seeing early, and we've seen it a lot this season, they move Chris Gray all around. Here comes O'Connell. Over to Kelly. Gray fakes his shot, gets free and scores. Sublime.
What? She was sitting right there when I got
This is awesome. If I'm Virginia, for starters, I'm probably shading him when he's adjacent, when he's the next man in ball rotation. The problem is Carolina is spinning the rock. But watch what he does to increase his angle and to get the separation. Kastner has the hardest matchup of his career. He's been playing unbelievable for Virginia. But to match up against a guy like Gray, this is a different level for him.
Two things there. An overzealous slide, Virginia defensively. They go to O'Connell. Next thing you know, the defense is on the rotation. Masterful of Chris Gray to use the defender's approach and overzealous against him.
UNC is now on 4 out of 5 faceoffs. We were talking about this with the coaches, and Joe Bresci said, hey, there's not a lot of secrets with these faceoff men. They saw each other a lot last year.
The difference, though, is Carolina can throw 2 at you, right? We know Petey's established for Virginia, and he's been such a critical fixture in their 2 championship runs, but Carolina throws 2 guys at him. So there's the stylistic matchup differences they can counter.
Second midfield here.
Daddy, stop.
Herbert, Harrison, Schertzinger. Number 15, Antonio DeMarco, the freshman. Dusts his man, bouncer is wide. Young goalie in the cage for Virginia, Matthew Nunes, a freshman, number 1 goalie out of high school.
First big game under the lights. The surface is wet. He's just got to settle in here, find the ball, make that initial save. You start feeling good about yourself. Carolina playing with swagger, though.
They are.
They felt that they're the hunter in this matchup for the first time in a long time.
And Joe Bresci said that took the pressure off this team this week. Here's Herbert, he's got a goal, bouncer, and he beats Nunes upstairs. Virginia scored the first 2, a 3-goal blitz by UNC.
Herbert's a big boy, 6'3", 210, he's a sophomore, a talented 2-way player. You've got to impact shooters at this level. If you don't get to their hands, they're going to find the back of the net. Watch this, old school, use the earth, Herbert.
Twice now, Carolina shooters have put their foot in the dirt, kind of those hitch moves to increase their angle to get to the middle of the field. A wet surface, too. That thing was flying off the grass.
We've seen this with Carolina. When they control faceoffs and the possession advantage, that gives them a huge advantage. They just haven't been able to do that at times this season. Still have that 5-1 record. They've had their moments in the middle of the field. Still strong there. There's a flag coming against Virginia. And if you're Joe Bresci, you've got to love this. 2-time defending champs, number 2 team in the country. After a couple of early UVA goals, the Heels have responded.
Yeah, and the big matchup tonight, when the ball's with Carolina, Chris Gray and Cole Kastner. Kastner, the sophomore, has been awesome, but Gray off the ball is such a problem.
Short stick matchup here for Herbert against Grayson Saladay. And that skips out of bounds. We get the penalty.
Heels coming to this game battle-tested, wins over Richmond and Colgate early. I thought they really turned the corner in their last 2 wins, dominating Johns Hopkins and then scoring. Offense was the storyline in their win over Denver. They got the 1 setback to Ohio State, which I think they've grown tremendously from that poor second half.
Yeah, 20-8 at home. A loss to the Buckeyes. Carolina 6 out of 16 with the extra man. Virginia man down. Team's just 2 of 13.
Because how long they are.
Oh, look at Kastner. And there's a goal by Henry Schertzinger. 4 unanswered for North Carolina.
Lars Tiffany's got to be contemplating a timeout right now on that Virginia sideline. Things are spiraling out of control. I know this is a long game, and these ACC Thursday night thrillers can take on a frantic pace and tempo.
Quint, the second meeting last year between these two, we had 12 goals in the first quarter. We're off to that caffeinated start here.
That ball got deflected by the defender's stick.
Nunes had no clue how to track that one. Almost looked like a knuckleball after it hit the defender's stick.
And an early sub at the face-off X for Virginia. We get to see Gable Braun, 48% on the season. Out of bounds, it belongs to UNC. Another face-off won by the heel.
To come back the other way. Sissons in the right wing corner. Holds along the half boards, walls off a chip, tries to wind it deep, but lost the battle to Jamie Drysdale. Shipped back by Lettieri.
Back in this game. I'd like to see them even empty out the cage, leave the cage open, put a double team on. You need possession back. Even if they score, at least it goes back to the draw. So Duke being very composed. They're not going to force an outside shot. So Pitt's got to send the double teams. They've got to go. The action. Put on the pressure now to try to get the ball back.
Landry searches. Now DeSimone's got it. Running some more clock. DeFatta stays in the goal circle. Barry skips it for Landry. Clock ticking away here on Pitt. Duke keeping it hot. Pass gets through. Jenner trying to pick it up. She does. At the final few seconds of the possession clock, and we got a horn and a timeout taken by Kirsten Kimmel. Right at the end where Maddie Jenner was trying to hang on to that at the end of the 90 seconds of Duke possession.
What a game we've had back and forth.
Six ties in this game, and the most recent one broken by this Duke team down the stretch, and their superstar, the nation's point leader, Kat Berry.
Yeah, Olivia Carter draws a double team up top, gets Kat Berry cutting. And a beautiful finish here. Great job, just the change of speed. Slows down a little bit, explodes forward, and you can see her emphatically saying, let's go.
I'm going to be with Jane for the Maryland game.
Yeah. Look at this game summary here.
Yeah.
But she's going to give me a lot of shit.
I think the biggest surprise to me is the draw control battle. Pitt having the edge.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope either go undefeated.
I think we could. Here's the thing, dude. I think we're better than Maryland. It's in DC, so they're going to get the Maryland love, but.
They're going to get the Maryland love.
Oh my God, Kihei.
We welcome you to Dorrance Field in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Little Thursday night lax, espresso, Red Bull, energy drink. It's another caffeinated game between Virginia and North Carolina. UVA a couple of early goals, and then 5 unanswered by North Carolina.
Chris Gray operating up top, draws the double team. It's Cole Herbert from mid-range, and there's Gray, the incredible change of direction.
I love what he does in space. Better than any player in college lacrosse. He knows where soft spots are. He changes and manipulates the defense, and the entire offense flourishes as a result. I think Carolina is banging the ball around at hyper speed right now, playing so unselfish.
Face-off differential, critical on that graphic.
I don't know.
Petey Lasala did not take the last 2 face-offs. He's back out there for Virginia, one of the best in the country. The Cavaliers win this face-off, and Ishraaf, Quinn Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra with you on a Thursday night. Here is Lasala, forced that one, good defense. We'll see Petey stay out there on offense. He's got 20-plus career goals.
Squares, the goal side, it has 2 of them.
This is Dominic Pryor, 30 in blue. Hofstra transfer, bothered by the long Cole Kastner, 6'7". Kastner knocked it away. Second nationally in caused turnovers, and that's his first of the game.
And that's what he does so well in early possessions from the opposition. He will hunt you down like a free safety.
It's Jurassic Park in the middle of the field with his range.
Connor Schellenberger, 1 in orange. That's the marquee tonight. Schellenberger for Virginia, Chris Gray for Carolina, the two best players in Division I men's college lacrosse.
I thought I was turning.
And in goal for Carolina, Colin Krieg, the sophomore. In the first meeting between these two teams last year, he stood on his head, 20 saves in a game that featured 110 shots. Here is Schellenberger attacking from X. Gets the step. Sublime vision. Nearly slipped. He had the short stick matchup. Help coming from the freshman Paul Barton. Now Matt Moore. Xander Dixon looking to feed inside. Schellenberger, or rather Griffin shuts the freshman
really using shots.
Still time on the shot clock. 17 to shoot. Cormier goes down. Pryor standing his ground. Cormier fakes it. Byers, Krieg saw it all the way. And a flag down.
Cormier got crushed after the shot.
Cormier's a finisher.
Beautiful pump fake by Peyton, but he's got to remember that Krieg is a left-hander. Carolina putting the shorty on Peyton Cormier, kind of daring him to take the ball to the rack.
I thought he moved exceptionally well on that dodge too. You saw that
Well,
quick
yeah, and
burst.
if we have to like unleash the beast, like incredible Hulk, bring him out late.
He turns the corner, the pump fake, and then he turns the corner. He's running right down Franklin Street.
Yeah.
And Krieg makes a brilliant stop from close range.
He got crushed, but he froze the defense. You mentioned the lefty goalie. If he just spent another second to identify the hand of the goalie, turn and rake.
Virginia this season below average with the extra man. They had a chance there with Moore.
I cut
4 out of 13.
Yeah.
And Moore able to retrieve it.
You watch Virginia operate on offense this year, whether it's extra man or settle. They're beating people with talent. Their passing isn't at an elite level yet. And it was that way last year.
I thought there were more
Triscuits. In February and March of last season, they didn't start passing the ball well until April.
They have been a dominant team, though. 5-0, 4 of those wins by at least 9 goals. And coming off an annihilation of Johns Hopkins last time out. Last year, these teams played 3 times. First meeting, almost a year ago today, March 11th. North Carolina, #1 in the country. This was a Thursday nighter. 110 shots in this game.
Chris Gray was magical. Had some of the best shots of the season. Krieg, you mentioned the 20-plus saves. Virginia peppered him with 66 shots.
Cotter was hoarse after that game.
I was hoarse after the first quarter of this game. 12 goals in the opening 15 minutes in a Virginia win.
Tweeted out like a funny little home field advantage for Carolina because they have that brick wall without a net in front of it. So every time the ball hits it, it comes out on the field. So
going into the fourth quarter, up by 4. North Carolina's ride shut Virginia out in the final quarter, but UVA hung on to win the national semifinal. And the Cavaliers would win on Memorial Day in a thriller against Maryland.
For me, the middle of the field came alive for Virginia last year. The short stick defensive midfielder, you saw guys like Jared Connors, who was the National Midfielder of the Year with a long stick. They were making plays in the middle of the field. They played tougher. They played faster. It was amazing to see how a weakness of theirs was their D-middies last year. It became a strength.
This series has always had national implications. Virginia 7 NCAA titles, North Carolina 5. They both, Virginia's coming off a back-to-back titles. Carolina's last, about 5 or 6 years ago.
In 2016, Chris Cloutier in overtime against Maryland. Less than 30 seconds on this Virginia extra man. Schellenberger over to Xander Dixon. Now Peter Garneau. Matt Moore on the high wing. Schellenberger, eyes up, probing, skip pass off the cross of Kanel Kumar.
That's an amazing pass. If you're Kumar, you have to be ready for that. That skip pass breaks the back of a man-down defense. He threads the needle there.
To Kumar's defense, Paul, right now he's a specialist. He's a man-up specialist. He's going from bench to action.
Colin Krieg, he's still going. Now he's in trouble. And Joe Bresci gets the timeout to avoid disaster. Look at the smile on Q's face. The goalie was thinking about one.
It's a dream, always been a dream. Coach Bresci shaking off some of the bolognese sauce and the meatballs, running onto the field, calling timeout.
Go Big Blaze!
Did you score one in college?
Not in college, no. High school, club.
Inside Lacrosse men's media poll, Maryland 1, Virginia 2. The two finalists from a year ago. I know it's still early, Q. There's a lot of lacrosse left to be played. Teams rise, teams fall. Right now, though, doesn't it seem 1 and 2 seem to be on a different level than everyone else?
Yeah, as we run out of undefeated teams, it seems. But Maryland and Virginia, I mean, they're on a collision course.
Yeah.
I think the pack behind them this year is stronger as a group. There are more teams, like a Cornell, a Penn, a Yale, maybe a Georgetown, a Notre Dame. If they get hot, they improve, they can reel those two in. But Maryland and Virginia are the class.
You wrote about this in your column. There's more meat on the bone in the game with the Ivy not just returning,
so that knucklehead who
but
keeps
there's not much of a drop off. We thought maybe this league
he was complaining
could
about
be
was sticks
dead to rights for a few years. Cornell, Penn. I'm still not counting out Yale. Princeton just beat Georgetown.
Looks good.
Yeah, Princeton looks great. I have so much respect for the Ivy League. You see Brown there at 19. This is a league, obviously everyone got shut down in 2020. 2021, they were the only big league to shut down. So much credit to the players, the coaching staff, the families. They've completely exceeded my expectations in terms of hitting the restart button.
And one thing that stands out, you go back decades, teams outside the top 10 rarely beat upper echelon teams. Now, 1 through 35 is a dogfight every week.
North Carolina found that out against Brown. I didn't mention Brown, you know, the whole not talking about Bruno thing.
No.
But everything changes when you get into conference play, right? We're able to look at a team like North Carolina with so much juice. This is different for them. Virginia's here now. It's a different beast that's walking into Dorrance Field right now.
And this is a Carolina team, what you see now and what you see a month from now, it's going to be much better. Young team, improving. Zinzer. And he was in the crease.
To me, last week, the biggest change was the midfield came alive, right? That's
11 points from the first midfield.
We needed to see that because of last year, they had 5 seniors getting playing time. So all these young guys and unknowns, they came alive last week.
In the loss against Ohio State, the middies totaled 2 points, 1 goal and 1 assist.
I mean, look at this. We're going back and forth. Nunes throwing a full field pass. Noah Chismar had it taken away.
Look, Carolina 10-mans, Virginia 10-mans. They're both very comfortable in that scheme, but it feels like right now that Carolina's winning the clearing and riding.
In goal for Virginia, the freshman from Texas, Matthew Nunes. Lars Tiffany telling us, unlike the stereotype for goalies, Matthew Nunes is just a normal guy.
Yeah, and I said, whoa.
You know, it's produced by like our
I lived with one my whole life.
Yeah,
Shared a bedroom with one, and my younger brother Brian, who played at Hopkins like Quint, and I'm a partner with one. I have a tough time being convinced.
Nunes, I think he's normal. Woodlands, Texas, which is north of...
You're not the judge of that, though.
Are you normal?
Which is north of Houston. He was a multi-sport athlete in high school. A little football, a little basketball. He played midfield as late as 10th grade. For me, from my eyes, he's got elite movement skills. Again, he's only a freshman. How you deal with everything, the distractions. These environments, so important. But elite movement skills.
Yeah, and he was trained well. Chris Saran from Texas, who was a national champion goalie at Syracuse, coached him and really helped his growth.
First name?
Nunes downfield. That's McIntosh. Final 7 seconds. Schellenberger wants it. He's got it. 3 seconds. Schellenberger feeding inside. Cormier had a look. And a frantic first quarter comes to an end. Matt Moore, career point number 240 in quarter number 1. Cole Herbert, a couple of goals for UNC, the sophomore. Tar Heels on top of the 2-time champs. 5-3 after 1.
Can't be person.
Champion for the reigning champion. From the outside, William Perry Schellenberger, Peter Garno rifles it past for the reigning champion.
Somebody said is Schellenberger the Tewaaraton frontrunner after this game. I said Kastner, and I posted.
It's a one-goal game. Time running down. Gray. It's knocked down. Reigning champs. Hang on. National semifinal a season ago, Virginia.
Kyle Devitt, who does one of the Inside Lacrosse podcasts,
hey, so glad you could be with us Thursday night lacrosse back in East
this was his response to the Schellenberger
We apologize for the technical difficulties at the start of the broadcast. Some of you, I know, were trying to watch the beginning of the game on the app, unable to do so. You're blaming Kark and Quint for it, and yeah, I don't know. You guys dropped the ball on that one.
It's been a rough day for Kark technologically.
Why is that?
You're right. You're right.
Nothing to do with the rental car.
Drive.
Petey LaSala, that pass looked like it was deflected.
Man, we're down by freaking 23.
Carolina's been the better team by far in a lot of aspects in this game, and it shows.
They've been hungrier.
Jamie Lucky just did the previous game,
They're
didn't he?
hunting more than Virginia, and that's been Virginia's calling card for so long.
You go back to the last two games last year, Virginia had, as I called it, the Valkyrian ride, but Carolina solved it. 31 out of 32 on clears, and we're seeing a little passivity from Virginia in the middle of the field.
Oh, what?
Henry Schertzinger. Not that time. Here comes Kastner. Peyton Cormier to Schellenberger, cracks and scores! An absolute Hadouken from Schellenberger.
The handle by Kastner, the vision. Starts with aggressive defense. Virginia playing a little more spirited now in the second quarter. And one thing I'll tell you about Schellenberger, going back to the end of last year, the kid don't miss.
He doesn't miss, and Cole Kastner in the middle of the field has been magnificent for Virginia. I want to see Connor Schellenberger actually shoot more. He's only had double-digit shots once in his career last year against Georgetown in the quarterfinal matchup. He's a lifetime 43% shooter.
What?
Yes, and he's not even a crease guy. That's like a crease guy statistic, right? To finish at that level when he plays on the perimeter, I don't even know if this young man understands how good he is, right? Because the one knock on him maybe would be, do you play aggressive enough because you're that good, right?
Sometimes you watch him, and it's like he's 5 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yes. Players who make it look easy, sometimes it doesn't seem like they're playing as hard.
Good point.
He is a generational talent, period.
Again, he's got a chance to go down as maybe the best to ever play at this school, which says a lot. Cormier, 5-hole, tied at 5.
Well, he had 6 a week ago against Johns Hopkins, and he was heating up. And when you look at the pieces to this Virginia attack, we mentioned Schellenberger. Moore's had some monster seasons in Charlottesville, and Cormier is that piece that kind of puts it all together, right? You have these two playmakers and then a guy who could finish at this ability, and Schutz is he's just too much to handle.
Blink of an eye, that ball's in Cormier's stick. His feet are already planted. He's already set up his shoulders and his hips to maximize that shot, and it's just one little half a cradle, and boom.
Andrew Tyre at the face-off X for Carolina. He wins this one. UNC has had Petey LaSala's number at the dot. Tyre, he and Tucci both a threat off a face-off win, and we have seen Carolina this year be extremely dangerous off those face-off wins. Chris Gray, 4 in blue. Second nationally in points. Schellenberger entered the game third.
Well, last game they couldn't get it off.
And Zinzer play catch. Zinzer a step-down shooter. Herbert 2 goals into helper, over to Harrison Schertzinger. He's got the short stick matchup against Parker. Rolls back, looking for Herbert, offline, Virginia ball.
Excellent double team by the Cavalier defense. Good spacing behind it. and adjacent, and they forced the turnover.
Yeah, you saw Danny Parker, 8 in orange. I thought before he had that season-ending injury a year ago, he was a really, really good short stick defensive midfielder, extremely quick. Can match those dodging midfielders, the shorter guys.
34 in orange, a freshman, D-Midi, Noah Chismar. Quint, I know you know his dad, Richard, a New York Times best-selling author, really well. He has been a spark plug in that defensive midfield for Virginia. He's going to be a good one.
Former attackman, was going to play at Marquette. He applied to Virginia just on his own as a student and got in. Sent the coaches an email saying, "Coach, hey, I'm Noah Chismar. I'm coming to school. Can I try out for the lacrosse team?"
Yeah, out of state, not an easy school to get into.
No, there's Matt Moore. That's his patented jumper.
Chismar had a huge goal against Syracuse in transition too, and when you play attack and you play offense and you have that athletic ability, you have a little bit more of a green light offensively when you're clearing the ball from the defensive end.
Both parents played, dad at UMBC, mom at Johns Hopkins. Now the cat and mouse game from X. Schellenberger against Matt Wright, who stick checks it loose. Garneau recovers, and the shot clock is down to 7.
Oh my God.
Matt Moore fires on the run and scores.
That is a ridiculous shot. Late in the shot clock, he's driving across the face of the goal, so Krieg's momentum and body weight is leaning on his left foot, and Moore bounces that back to the near post. So difficult to make this stop.
Outstanding. You have to shoot different, right? You have to get the head of your stick across your body even more to hit that near pipe. And Matt Moore, the 40-40 guy in 2019, national champions. You look at the accolades. He was a monster midfield recruit coming out of high school, and he's delivered as an attackman.
You have Moore and Schellenberger, who are both going to go down as all-time players at an all-time program. Moore, one of 5 Cavaliers with 100 career goals and 100 career points, or 100 career assists. And it's a pretty good list. Gladding, Pelkey, Stanwyck, and Kraus, the other 4. With that goal, by the way, Matt Moore is now into 4th place on the all-time points list, tying Watson and Kraus, 2 other big names.
Yep.
And he just tied Steele Stanwyck on the all-time goals list. I mean, those are heavyweight names on the ground.
Yep. And I feel when he gets going, the Virginia offense is different. Right? Like you look at the confidence, right? Like Matt Moore could be a feast or famine. We've seen games where he's, 1 for 11, right? Shooting. When he gets going early, this offense is different.
I was talking to Sean Kerwin before the game, Virginia's offensive coordinator, and he said, sometimes the shot selection, not what the team is looking for, but Matt Moore will make the high degree of difficulty shots. Case in point. Off the restart. Here's Jeff Connor.
I mean, you're down by frickin' 30, 22, like just jack some up.
It comes to Cormier, Moore wanted it, Xander Dixon. And Schellenberger closest to the ball when it went out of bounds. He will initiate against Matt Wright.
Yeah, I think this is smart by Carolina. Wright has the quickest feet of any Carolina defender, and he's nasty. He's got a mean streak and a huge motor. 20 in blue, normally playing up top. His assignment right now is Schellenberger behind, and I think that's a smart play for Carolina, Quinn.
I agree.
Cormier off the feed from Schellenberger.
Nice little tic-tac-toe. Now, if that is the answer, if Matt Wright can sort of neutralize Schellenberger, well, here comes Matt Moore.
Yep.
Dixon looking for more. The pursuit by Paul Barton. Connor's got it. A great little flip. Schellenberger back to Connor. Returning after missing 4 games with an upper body injury.
Well, he has a better shot than most of their offense. I mean
down to 1. I'm sorry, 10.
Usage, like not low usage, but lower usage, higher efficiency.
Yeah.
Necessarily correlate to higher.
Moore turns and scores. Wow. They may not let other guys even take that shot. Matt Moore makes those shots.
Here's the deal, Quint. Carolina might have one defender to guard this duo.
Yeah.
They don't have two.
No one does. Who does?
Maybe Georgetown. Maybe.
Tell you, you look at the career point leaders. When I look at Matt Moore, I think of a guy, and Paul, you do a lot of investigation here. Premier Lacrosse, the Pro Lacrosse League this summer. Matt Moore's a top 3 pick in my eyes.
I have him as number 2.
I got Gray 1, Matt Moore, Virginia 2. I got Nakai Montgomery of Duke at 3. Look at him work. Zigzag, back and forth, yo-yos back and forth, frees up his left hand and paints a corner. Back-to-back goals from Moore, both from range.
Here's what happened in the back-to-back goals. The first one, he came across the middle of the field, right, to increase his angle. That time they tried to chop his angle down. What does he do? He rolls back. So he's feeling it.
Solomon on cleanup duty. And Carolina gets one back after Virginia had scored 4 unanswered.
Tell you, they clean up the dumpsters at the Hyatt Place at about 4:30 a.m. and it's awful, and it's awful loud. Solomon on garbage duty.
This is big. This is big because you have to match the runs. Like Virginia, you felt the momentum coming, right? And Carolina, right off the face, just feels a little opportunity there. Nicky Solomon, the soft hands, the easy finish. We got a ball game here.
Now, this is a game, if you have a friend out there who's never seen lacrosse, this is a good starting point, isn't it? That's how we got Roddy Jones hooked last year. Carolina, Virginia, on a Thursday night. Here's LaSala. We got our friends on the ACC network, Mark Packer, West Durham watching. They got into lacrosse last year. Loved these Thursday nighters. Showcase games.
These games, they're played with a different amount of gasoline. I mean, it's just all gas, no brakes. We barely even need a shot clock.
Here's Will Corey. We talk about the way Virginia has recruited at an elite level.
Yep.
Developmental program, too. Guys like Corey and McIntosh and Simmons.
Corey will give you a nice change of pace, too, because he plays midfield, but he's an attackman in high school, so they'll invert him, put him behind the cage a lot. Against his short stick, take that defender out of his comfort zone.
Schellenberger gets the step, got top side. Cormier the backup.
We were in Lars Tiffany, head coach of Virginia's office, prior to the Syracuse game 2 weeks ago. We asked him about Will Corey. Said he's been inconsistent in the past, but he's put aside the distractions that every student athlete deals with in college. His game's gone through the roof. You look at the depth chart, there he is, getting minutes.
3 straight games with a goal for Corey. Here's Cormier against Connor Marr, one of the top D middies. Cormier posting up. Schellenberger feeding inside. What a pass to McIntosh. The vision of Connor Schellenberger on full display.
When you play with a Chris Gray or you play with a Connor Schellenberger, you know every single time you're on the offensive zone, you have an opportunity to get loose and get the rock in such small windows. Cormier on the wing, a quick pass to Connor Schellenberger. Flick of the wrists, the Cavs are up.
Your father knows about saving money. Everything I'm wearing.
We're around him for 5 minutes, and that's why we use almost as the qualifier.
But Thursday nights, too, to be back in person together for Thursday nights. For me, ACC Thursday nights, the competition's incredible, but the stars always come out and play, right? You had Chris Gray in that first quarter. He dominated play. Then it's been Schellenberger and Moore for Virginia matching those runs. It's been amazing.
You feel it, too. You got a sense from these players. It's a standalone game on Thursday night. They're the only show in town across the whole D1 landscape. You feel it from the fans that we interacted with. We're down on the field in warm-ups. These games just have a little more juice.
Harrison Schertzinger down the alley, back of the net. And it's an 8-7 game.
Cincinnati, Ohio.
Skyline Chili, baby.
primetime athlete, a guy who waited his turn. Remember, they had all those great senior midfielders last year at the University of North Carolina. He's dealt with multiple ACL injuries, and here he is. His twin has got 2 assists in this game. Harrison's a blazer down the right-handed alley.
A blazer, but also the ability to change his speeds, right? Lull the defender to sleep just a little bit, get him in that comfort zone, and then bam, Schertzinger. You mentioned Skyline Chili. How about Nando's Donuts, man? Come on. He's crushing it with his brother.
Entrepreneur. Nando's Donuts open on Sunday, by the way. Here's Solomon off the scrap to Gray. Ooh, nearly a Sports Center top 10. Now, Chris Gray, oddly, has been quiet in this game so far.
In the second quarter, yes. You know, for me, I felt like Cole Kastner can handle the Gray matchup on ball and defending him when Gray wants to be a Dodger.
But off ball.
My concern was Gray's the best in the business in terms of just what he does away from the ball and how he manipulates the defense and can find those seams and spots for an outside shot. Doesn't need the ball long.
There he is. Gray at 5'7", Kastner at 6'7".
That's tough, too, because as a defender, you want to play the leverage game, right? He's got to get really
he's
low.
Underneath him, and the tendency there is to get tangled up in Chris Gray's neck, potentially with a holding violation. He's got to sit down. We've seen a lot of defensemen the size of Cole Kastner, few move like him. Kastner was a big-time Ivy League basketball recruit. He would have played for Virginia's basketball team this year, but his academic schedule interfered with Virginia's practice schedule. Here's Gray, ahead to Kelly, fakes out Nunes and scores, and we're tied. And the Carolina bench explodes.
20 in blue, that's all you. That is all Matt Wright.
Ontario, this kid's one of the fastest players on the field. He has got a motor and wants to play. The one-handed little wrap check. Ball's on the carpet, off to the races.
And then Gray holds the Virginia defense. When he first had that ball, I thought he was going to pass it right away. What he did was he held the defense. The Virginia defenders think Gray might shoot this, right? So then they shade up to him, and that's when he hits Kelly. Chris Gray is a step ahead of everyone like Connor Schellenberger is.
Two transcendent talents. Kelly, part of a long line of Kellys to play at North Carolina. Here is LaSala. He's been neutralized for the most part this evening. Speedy, healthy. Not sure he's got the same zest in his running gait as we saw earlier this year. They got him on a pitch count. And as you said earlier, there's a differential in this game. Carolina's deep at the Fogo position.
Yes.
Virginia's not. And we saw what LaSala could do on one hamstring, though, last year in the postseason.
He's an absolute warrior. I mean, when you look at what he does in the weight room, his work ethic, his background, and football, raised so well by his dad, Pete. Toughness, too, right? When you talk to Pete Sr., you know that his son is going to bring it.
Teddy, stop.
Dumps it into Dixon, and it trickles in.
Teddy, no. Teddy.
Second assist for Schellenberger, and Xander Dixon, his first tally of the game. If you watch Virginia on tape this year, you'll see this goal once or twice in every game this year. It's a scissors cut inside. One player is cutting towards Schellenberger. The other is cutting towards the back post. Watch him mirror. That's a great job. Dixon mirrors Schellenberger. So he comes up the right side. He cuts the back post. It's a spot feed, kind of a timing play.
And there's a lot of trust there, too, right? It looked like Xander Dixon was covered. But when you can throw it on a dime right there, and when you're Xander Dixon, you know that Connor Schellenberger is going to give you the ball in such a tight window.
It's like trust, getting in a car with a niche. Okay, all right, already. Here's Tyre, top shelf off the face-off win. Well, we don't have time for jokes tonight. This game's moving too fast.
We've seen so many times for Virginia, Petey LaSala has had those monster goals, right? The face-off win. Last year when you did the game here, he had a couple of those huge momentum changers. This time it's Tyre. Scrapping, LaSala loses the draw, They're not going to him. Why? Because they're too worried about Chris Gray and Jacob Kelly and Nicky Solomon. Those are all shooters. So the scout is, let the face-off guy push it. Let him test us.
He had 7 points last year. He can handle. He's been dealing with the loss of his cousin. Missed some practice time earlier in February.
Tyre and LaSala tied up at Saladay. 32 in orange last year. Early on was picked on a lot. By the end of the season, he played like an All-American. Oh. And he was really the unsung hero of the semifinal win against UNC.
Mentioned earlier, like that whole unit, right? That was the big question. Does Virginia have the short stick D middies? Well, that ultimately became their answer.
Saladay in the semis, 8 ground balls, 2 caused turnovers in the win against UNC. Matt Moore's had a nice first half. 9-9, still 4 minutes plus to play. More check by Paul Barton, one of the top defensemen coming out of high school. Cormier over to Schellenberger. Garno, the step down rocket off the pipe.
See how unselfish they are?
That's good offense right there. That's great team offense. The matchups remain the same. Matt Wright, 20 on the Carolina defense, is covering Schellenberger. They're putting the short stick midfielder on Cormier.
Corey. Now Matt Moore.
This is a problem for Carolina.
Short stick matchup. On the switch, picked up by Wright. Feeding inside, good look. Krieg turns away McIntosh. And a flag down.
Instincts by Krieg. This is a gem. This is an absolute great stuff from the inside. He read the body language of the shooter. Shooter telegraphs it, and Krieg snuffs it out.
And that's Matt Wright, junior out of Calgary, and so a man-up chance for Virginia.
For me, this penalty's big too, because it's not only
there was no reason
check. There was no reason for it, but your most experienced defender now is in the box. Like Wright has all the mileage. The rest of these guys are inexperienced, so you take that guy, the communicator, along with Krieg, out of this man-down situation.
That's twice now. Kumar with the extra man has not been able to handle a pass. Virginia able to recover and call timeout. Coming up at halftime, we will look ahead to a Syracuse-Johns Hopkins game Sunday, 4 Eastern on ESPNU. Different than in the past. Both teams are down. They've been taking their lumps this season, but it's Dave Petramala's return to Homewood Field. And we'll talk a little bit about that as Paul Carcaterra sits down in the latest episode of Relaxin' with former Hopkins great Kyle Harrison.
What goes through your mind when you see Petro on the sideline wearing Syracuse orange?
Man, it's a good one. I don't wear orange often, Park. Not an orange guy. Between Q's, Princeton, and Virginia, I'm out on orange.
You know, when you sit down
Teddy,
with
no.
any lacrosse player who played for Dave Petramala or a teammate of Dave Petramala, the loyalty is really, to me, the biggest takeaway. They love that man.
That's Sunday, 4 o'clock on ESPNU. Clark, you gonna wear orange? You wear orange, I'll wear blue. Let's go, man. Let's go. Bring it.
I told Kyle as a joke.
Folks, we have the game. Yeah. I'll be announcing with
guys.
Paul.
You were just out there. Chill out.
We got the return of Dave Petramala to Homewood Field. Sunday standalone game at 4 o'clock. I'm excited. We're gonna have fun.
It's gonna be awesome.
And there's a lot at stake this year. Neither team can afford another loss.
I appreciate the invite, guys. Thanks.
You have an event coming up, don't you, Anish?
Baseball game on Saturday. Here's Kumar, and there's a save by Krieg.
Tell you, Krieg is so battle-tested now. He's only a sophomore. but he loves the moment. You can just see it in his body language.
10 saves in the first half for Krieg. Here he goes in transition. That pass was bothered. Virginia with a chance the other way. Mitchell Whalen can't play without a stick.
That was really strange. Something must have happened to Dixon's stick.
Yeah, he ran off the field. Carolina the other way. Gray trying to work around Kastner. Cole Kastner second nationally in caused turnovers per game. Last year he was Project 39. By the end of the season, he was one of the top defenders in the country.
Got to give props to John Robbins from Bellarmine, who's leading the nation. The takeaway defenders. We don't want it to be a lost art. Kastner is elite at that.
Nice move, Henry Schertzinger, and that skips past Gray. When Virginia obliterated Georgetown in the quarters, Kevin Warren, the Hoyas head coach, afterwards said that was like Jurassic Park with these Virginia defenders. Kastner's the guy with the pteranodon wings.
Yeah, but you didn't say it like Warren. Warren's from Long Island. Oh, it's like Jurassic Park.
The ride.
Here's Gray, numbers for UNC. Gray changing hands again. Goes down, flag down. Carolina's going to go man up. And a chance to take the lead with 90 seconds.
Reserve and reserve one starter.
Not only that Carolina's ride is so often successful, but they get good opportunities directly off of it in transition because you're scrambling defensively to get back into the hole.
One of the things we've heard opposing coaches say is Carolina does such a good job of disguising its ride. How?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because where you look at where the pressure is applied, a lot of times it looks like they're soft in the beginning stages of the ride, but then between the midline and their own restraining box, that's when they strike, and that's when they hit you.
Anish, I think it's most similar to football. You're a quarterback, you're trying to read coverage. Who's your open receiver? What kind of coverage? Are they in a zone? Are they in a man? If they're in a zone, what is it? Is it a 4 under and 3 deep? So I think as a ball carrier in lacrosse, you're trying to assess, okay, I think the open man is here, but once you feel pressure on you directly, typically your eyes go down, and it's harder to see across the field.
So you can't make that read like if you were a quarterback reading the D-end per se.
Right,
Exactly.
Instead the D-end is coming at you, your eyes go down, and you don't see the coverage.
Disguise is the first element, and then it's how fast can you strike from the disguise.
What's so important when you're clearing under those scenarios, communication from player to player. So if I'm the goalie, I may not have the ball. Paul, you'll be my left, you have the ball. I got to tell you, look far opposite. And the communication component when clearing against pressure is essential.
It's like Cobra Kai, strike first, strike hard, and no mercy. If you're just joining us, boy, you've missed a lot.
Yes.
Tied at 9, 90 seconds to go.
Goals.
First half, 18 goals. Virginia's got 27 shots. Carolina's got 19. Gray and Schellenberger have had their moments.
And this unit's awesome for North Carolina. Their extra man's over 50%.
Dave Metzbauer's units have long been surgical with the extra man.
They're shutting off Gray, so they're going to play 5-on-4, take him out of the equation.
There's Solomon. Zinzer, now they get it to Gray. Bounce shot low, saved by Nunes, up in the air. Zinzer able to get it back. Another flag down. More penalty markers flying, getting chippy.
Oh, this is something else. How about the save from Matt Nunes, though? Man, to start this skirmish, talked about his elite movement skills. Watch him slide his body to the left. This is a beautiful save. The ball kicks about 30 yards up into the air. And then the scramble. Look at Nunes, so light on his feet. He reminds me of a guy I competed against named Paul Schmoller who played at Cornell. Super light on his feet, steps pipe to pipe.
And that's from behind on Soliday.
And then it's a feeding frenzy.
Definitely a push on Soliday. See, right here is a push. This is a
nice job.
push,
He turns away from the pressure.
There. And then there's a slash or two in there.
So you think it's going to be a push against Virginia and a slash against Virginia?
It's definitely a push against Soliday. And then there's multiple slashes.
Both on red. Red 32 push, 30 seconds. Red 16 slash, 1 minute. So we got 2 fouls, 1 minute.
I got a question, though. A serious question. Why do they call Virginia red? They're orange.
Listen, not everybody has the Crayola box of 64 or 16. Or 8.
So there's the push, and there's the slash. Those are... So I thought maybe Carolina was going to get something, too, right? On Cole Herbert. He came in a little late, too.
So 6 on 4 now. Kark, how do you want to attack?
But now you can't shut off Gray, right? So now you bring the best player for Carolina, one of the best in the country, back into the mix. He's the conductor of this unit, and you're going to give him more space than he's accustomed to.
It's like a Bronx tale. Now you can't leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Solomon over to Kelly. Gray's up top. The maestro. Feeding the crease, and Jacob Kelly for the slam dunk. Carolina on top.
Quint, this is why I love this play. When we watched Chris Gray on tape the last few weeks in the same exact spot, he shot from there. So now teams are concerned he might have a quick little dodge off of extra man. He's a shooter, he's a shooter. No, he's a passer.
Everything's right up in that box area. Carolina, it's one cradle and a snappy pass. One thing about Chris Gray, when he gets an assist, when he gives you the ball, and it's a catchable ball. Good passes get caught. That's the only criteria that matters.
Tyre and Lasala. Tyre 5 out of 8. Lasala 9 out of 18 now for Virginia. There's Parker. Final 20 seconds. Cormier, skip pass. Moore faked it. Moore falling down. There's Krieg. Double-digit saves in the first half. Carolina still has time. Pushing transition. From the wing, off the pipe, Jacob Kelly. It'll stay with Carolina. They've got 7 seconds. No timeouts. Tillman out of the box. 2 seconds. Tillman over the cage. And a frenetic first half comes to an end with UNC on top of number 2 Virginia by a score of 10-9. The Stars shining on a Thursday. Connor Schellenberger, 4 points. Gray has 4 points. Cole Herbert had a couple of big moments with some early goals for UNC. Quint, 50 shots in the opening 30 minutes.
Catch your breath. We're coming back to Dorrance Field. Thursday night thriller always delivers.
7 saves for UNC. Wild back and forth lacrosse. This is the type of game that brings new fans in, and the Stars showed out.
Amazing, right? Chris Gray off the bat, we saw his versatility, right? His shooting ability, but then he became a passer. So this Carolina offense is answering the bell and matching this high-octane offense of Virginia. We knew Virginia was going to score a ton of goals. Could Carolina match? And they have.
Connor Schellenberger for Virginia can't miss right now. You think about what he did in the NCAA playoffs last year, and the way he's shooting the rock this year, unbelievable. His vision, the assists, he is critically the quarterback of this team. I thought Schellenberger and Matt Moore were the stars for the Cavs.
Yeah, Matt Moore in that second quarter had a couple of big-time goals that only Matt Moore could probably do. But Connor Schellenberger, the stretch shooting ability of him, a lot like Chris Gray, you have to account for them in all different spots of the offense. Gray is a distributor. Look at right there. We've seen week in and week out him shoot from that same spot. He's passing, getting teammates involved. This Carolina offense is moving the ball so well, and the subtleties with the hitches and the plant foots are impressive.
A game of runs. Carolina had a 5-1 run. Virginia had a 6-1 run. Carolina closed on a 4-1 run. 10-9, a lot of shots on goals. And Colin Krieg, like he did in the first meeting between these two last year, standing on his head. Virginia wins the opening draw of the second half, and that's another area North Carolina has had the advantage, maybe surprisingly so.
From a compete level, this is the best I've seen from the Heels. The question in this game, when Virginia makes their run, can they take a punch? Joe Bresci told us that earlier this week. Can they take a punch when the other team makes a run?
Yeah, I thought Carolina was successful mixing it up defensively. We saw some zone, we saw some man. That could throw this Virginia offense a little off kilter.
Matt Moore was guarded by Blake Gable a moment ago. Now Simmons.
I think they spelled Krzyzewski
check
wrong
by
right
Moore.
there.
Simmons looking to get top side. His shot bothered. Dixon able to recover. Still 30 to shoot. Dixon against Morris. Shot blocked. On the ground, and Paul Barton scoops it up. Has it knocked away by Dixon. And another stick on the ground. It's Dixon's stick. Second time today he's lost his stick. Alex Bresci has had a nice season in that defensive midfield. He's slipping. We've seen a lot of that on this turf. It was wet when we were down there before the game.
Rain this afternoon around 1:30. What Virginia does so well on that ride, the forecheck, is when you bring the ball across the midfield line, guess who's waiting? Big number 39.
Yes.
They rotate their defense, so he's a free safety. He's the free runner, so to speak.
And he's got the wingspan of a wandering albatross.
I thought it was important for him to be in that same spot in their ride, too, with Cade Sawstead out. I was concerned if Virginia manipulated that a little bit and were too concerned with Chris Gray to lock him down. Lars Tiffany's understanding that that spot for Cole is massive.
Simmons again, circles behind the cage. Alex Bresci hung up. Now Bresci meets him on the crease, turns him back. Simmons looking to pass, it's knocked down, picked off by Matt Wright.
Rock solid on the corner by Bresci.
Here's Chris Gray. Changing directions, Gray, bouncer, and Kelly the backup.
He had Nunes there.
Yeah.
Nunes flopped, he had him.
No Cade Sawstead tonight for Virginia, one of their top defenders. We're seeing a lot of Scott Bauer. We're seeing Quentin Matsui, and of course Kastner.
Ben Ware, their long stick defensive midfielder for Virginia. He's out for a few more weeks as well.
And those are big losses. Ware really has done a nice job with Jared Connors having moved on.
Well, Ware has the stick skills, too. Some of the best hands of all the Virginia defenders. Critical in the man-down defense, knocking down passes and ground balls in the defensive end.
O'Connell flushed to goal line extended. Kicks it back out, and that's going to be over and back. You're only allowed to go over and back in the first 20 seconds of the shot clock. This could be offsides on Carolina. Moore against Blake Gable. Blake Gable, a sophomore from Boys Latin, Quint's tie supplier. You know what I like about Blake Gable?
What?
Right here, baby.
Swim. He can't swim.
I know
you guys
two people.
You guys are
ties at a 10.
This is the game tilter right now. We're seeing this. They don't have anyone to defend Matt Moore. I think Matt Wright has done a really nice job on Connor Schellenberger. The problem is, Matt Moore is one of the best dodgers in college lacrosse. They've thrown a freshman in Paul Barton at him. They're throwing Blake Gable, who's a lefty. He's a lefty fighting upfield, cross forearm against Moore. No shot.
You need to attack Carolina through their defense. Watch this official launch his flag. Woo! Send that baby up 40 yards. I think that was...
I think a bet I could throw this flag over that mountain.
That was a restart violation. Carolina was too close to Connor Schellenberger
5 yards
on the restart.
Technical foul though, so it's wiped out with the goal.
Clark, usually they throw it like underhanded.
Yeah.
He like rotated his shoulder and then overhand.
Yeah, that's Danny Zima. This guy's in top shape. when you look at him. He's one of the younger officials. He's doing a great job. Runs up and down the field. He's got more energy than probably you after 6 lattes.
That had Uncle Rico vibes. Fourth quarter, only if the coach had put me in.
I want you and Gable in a 50-yard swimming race. Two guys who can't swim.
The one who doesn't drown wins?
It'd be a doggy paddle.
Good, you know, our producer, John Kettering.
How deep's the water?
Skillful at his craft. The best thing I've ever seen him do is teach Anise how to swim.
Yeah.
That's his true calling in life.
Quotes.
John Kettering
teaching quotes
is as a swimming instructor.
Here's Chris Gray. The difference between Blake Gable and I, Blake never learned to swim. I tried to learn and failed.
You did a nice job in Israel.
Evan Zinn getting some run. The Hopkins transfer, 0 in orange, or as the officials say, red. Jeff Connor will dodge against Herbert. Now that's a matchup. Connor getting the pick from Schellenberger. Little two-man game. And now Schellenberger's got the short stick matchup. Look out.
Yeah, this is a quick slide, obviously.
Where's it coming from? Moore up top. Thought about it. Connor to the wing. Way off mark. Schellenberger the backup.
Excellent closeout by 20 in the Carolina blue, Matt Wright, who impacted the shot at its release point.
He's been awesome tonight. We're talking a lot about Kastner. Matt Wright's been matching it.
Herbert lost his stick. Schellenberger rings it up. A hat trick for Shelley, and that is 10 consecutive 5-point games for Connor Schellenberger.
Flex Connor Schellenberger. You are a man of steel. As he turns the corner, Herbert gives him a strong two-handed check. Watch what happens to Herbert's stick. At the goal line extended. 1 in blue right there. Breaks his stick over Schellenberger. Connor keeps ticking.
Yeah, one of the most underrated aspects of Connor Schellenberger's game is his strength. Guy who loves the weight room, always invested in terms of his athletic ability and pushing the limits.
He gets his strength from his dad, Scott.
Scotty
no
Shell.
question.
Shelley, big-time golfer.
In his bones. And he's given Virginia the lead, 11-10.
Scott Schellenberger. You ever see him play golf? Back in the day, 300 yards off the tee from Marshall.
Played at Marshall, was a legend, but also has all the wing record is unbelievable. 70-something wings at a sitting. I don't even know if Connor eats chicken wings, but Scott Schellenberger dominating 70-something wings. I want to hang out with a guy like that all the time.
Schellenberger back to Dixon. Now Schutz. Save Krieg. We had a chance to spend some time with Connor Schellenberger's parents at championship weekend last year.
Stephanie,
and Scott, just wonderful people, great characters. Schellenberger now picked up by Pryor, the Hofstra transfer. Back to Dixon.
Virginia's doing a nice job of finding ways to get more on a short stick. Schellenberger on a short stick.
Two-man games. A well-set pick changes a matchup.
Dixon dangerous on the invert. Simmons can't handle the pass. Schellenberger trying to track it down. It was kicked by Matt Wright.
Connor Marr, 31 in Carolina blue, and Matt Wright, 20 in Carolina blue, are the strengths of this unit. I want no part of them if I'm Virginia. I find somewhere else to attack.
Yeah, Moore trying to dodge against Gable. Simmons swarmed. Gives it up. Still time to shoot. Schellenberger feeding the crease to Dixon. Connor Schellenberger fired up. A 6-point game and a 2-goal lead for Virginia.
You look at the ways Virginia manipulates matchups and puts their primetime players in all different spots. We saw him running through checks on a short stick, breaking Cole Herbert's stick, this time as a passer. The wherewithal and understanding what's next, right? The instincts
Spatial awareness.
Yes.
To see what will happen, not what's happening now, but he sees Dixon behind the goal, almost to the right, but he projects his movement and the movement of the defense.
But I've said this about Chris Gray and Schellenberger. When you play with them, you work harder off the ball because you will be rewarded.
You played with Casey Powell.
Yeah. I mean, Casey Powell and Rob Cavitt, every time they had the ball, you worked harder off the ball because you knew you were getting big hits.
Schellenberger has had a hand in 4 of the last 5 Virginia goals. Here's Tucci. Carolina bench fired up.
Tucci's tough. No relation to Stanley, by the way.
No.
None.
He's the fastest player on that Carolina team. And now that first midfield.
Really?
Yep.
Who told you that?
That's the info I got. There's Lance Tillman.
He's the quickest one.
Oh, they call him Dance.
Tillman's been a little quiet. He's drawn the long pole.
Had a big game the last 2 weeks. 3-2 against Denver, 2 goals and assist against Hopkins. Gray against Kastner. Look at the length of Kastner, denying top side. Gray spins him around. Kastner stays with him.
That's where I thought Kastner would be okay. And Kastner has shown his ability to play the perimeter. My concern is what Chris Gray does when he doesn't have the ball. Can Kastner match him off ball?
Now, Lars Tiffany telling us after the North Carolina games last year, as Nunes has that one come right to him, the Virginia defenders all went to the coaching staff and said, Gray off ball, it's hard to track him. He moves so much. Schellenberger and Wright, that's been a fun matchup today. Schellenberger over to Will Corey, had a good look. And Shaladay there to back up.
Good teams attack you in those transitional moments before you're set up.
Matt Moore, a hat trick today. That'll reset the shot clock.
You could tell Moore is going to attack Gable in the second half. I think he's going to drive lefty a lot on him, too, make him play cross forearm.
Matt Wright chucks it down. Nunes out of the cage, the intercept.
Talked about Nunes as a high school basketball player and football. He got his start in lacrosse. He was a midfielder, but the goalie, forgot his cup. So he jumps in the goal. That's how he got his start.
How fun has this been? Thursday night, we seem to have these back and forth games all of last year on Thursday night. Here we go again. Carolina led going into halftime. Virginia 3 goals here in this third quarter.
Virginia's starting to get better and better looks.
There's Schutz, #1 freshman coming out of high school. Now Cormier against Lawhead. Peyton Cormier, the wily Canadian.
Virginia goalie Alex Rode, the owner of 2 rings. One thing Matt Nunes already has shown as a freshman, maybe he's better on the ride with his athletic ability, covering ground. He makes the pick off, handles the ball in traffic.
And you give it to the crafty Canadian. Peyton Cormier understands the leverage game, finishing inside, too easy.
More pepperoni, please. Yes, chef.
Imagine the memories you'll make.
Virginia outscoring North Carolina 4-0 in this third quarter to take the lead, 13-10. Player Spotlight brought to you by New York Life.
Yeah, it's Connor Schellenberger, always a step ahead of the business. The wherewithal to understand where his teammates will be. The shooting ability from downtown, he's been magical. We're seeing a run from Virginia because of #1.
The diagnostic ability to read a defense, to see movement patterns develop and be a step ahead of the game. Masterful. The other thing this season we're seeing from him, spring-loaded shot, man. He's got some power in his shot from outside.
We saw his evolution last year. Remember, he played a lot of midfield last year. He was an All-American midfielder at the end of the season, even though he played mostly attack toward the end. Right hand, left hand, range. Can create from X for himself and for others. He is a threat from anywhere on the field.
Every great lacrosse player, you feel like they might have one weakness, right? Maybe offhand's not as good, not an elite passer, can't finish inside. When you go through all the categories offensively, Connor Schellenberger checks every single box.
Doesn't have a left hand. Doesn't have a left hand.
Trying something?
Shuts, turns, and that's turned away. It comes back to Schellenberger, to Dixon. Quick shot, that was blocked. Sean Morris. Again, Virginia in the ride.
This third quarter, this game has changed dramatically. The dynamic is Virginia's dominating.
How?
Right here, the ride. Carolina's only generated 4 shots. They're playing far too much defense.
Unsettled, Saladay, hesitation. And Virginia will reset.
The script has almost flipped, right? Middle of the field wise. Like if you were to look at the middle of the field in the first half, Carolina was doing everything Virginia's doing right now.
I think halftime was a little bit of a reset button for Lars Tiffany. They've had their way with teams. This is the first time they faced a true challenge.
Colin Krieg, meanwhile, continues to play well. The hustle by Carolina and Sean Morris.
But can they clear, right? They're 8 for 13 clearing the ball right now. And Virginia is applying the pressure.
You got to look deep, maybe taking a long shot here at an empty net.
Do you take the shot on the empty net? Nunes gets back in.
Great pass.
It is a Virginia-North Carolina type of night over at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. ACC Tournament basketball quarterfinals just tipping off. That game over on ESPN. If you're a UVA, UNC fan, this is the time for split-screen viewing.
What do you got in that one?
Carolina.
Why?
Armando Bacot. Although Virginia needs it more. Tony Bennett's team normally a tournament lock the last several years that are very much on the bubble, on the outside looking in. Need to win some games in Brooklyn. Won yesterday against Louisville in a squeaker. There's Herbert. Shot clock in single digits. And there's Nunes. Nunes has settled down after a shaky start.
Oh, I view a lot of that as kind of reflective of the way they're playing defense now as well. But he has.
Like a goalie.
No, but he has. Again, I think this entire Virginia team has settled into ACC play. They dominated their opponents in the first 5 games. I mean, High Point gave them a run, but I think this is a different level for them emotionally, execution-wise, and I think that first half was a, hey guys, let's pick it up a notch.
A 1-goal win against High Point. The other games, all blowouts. There's more. Over to Cormier, the hat trick for Peyton Cormier.
Do you remember when I said Matt Morris should attack Blake Gable left-handed? The reason being, when he took him to the rack earlier in this quarter, Gable didn't look comfortable in the cross forearm. So Moore has the ball here. Once he switches here, he's out of control. He spins and loses his balance and his wherewithal. You turn your back, you're done.
Turn your back, you're toast. Defensively there, you want to drop and drop step, opening your hips, facing the offensive player and drop step and cut the angle. Again, the weakness of Carolina defensively is this close defense. A lot of graduation.
Kark, you brought this up in the first half. You said when Virginia goes on that run. They're in that run now. Where's Carolina's answer? This is still a young defense. It's still a young team outside of the attack.
I think Carolina needs a play from their midfield. I mean, that's been the difference when they were clicking. You did the Ohio State game, right? When they struggled, their midfield disappeared. They need some juice outside of Chris Gray, right? Because the Virginia defense has settled. They need a spark.
This is the same game flow that saw Ohio State put up 20 on them. It was a third quarter knockout punch. This is the same game flow that Denver hit them with last week.
And they responded.
10 goals in 10 minutes.
Schutz, Dixon, and Simmons, the midfield for Virginia. Now Moore. 3 goals, 2 assists today. Slips. Beats Morris. Skirts wide.
This team is so dangerous, Paul. You got 2 guys not only who can beat you, in Schellenberger and Moore, but they can pass off the dodge.
And we were talking about PLL in Matt Moore's draftable status. He's positionless.
Top 3. He could start day 1 at midfield. PLLtickets.com. You get to see guys like Matt Moore, Chris Gray. I think the guy Montgomery's playing great. Yes. He's got to go in the top 5.
And he's a two-way guy.
Simmons. That hit the net. Schutz can't handle it. Lawhead scoops it up. Lost it. There's Gable.
Nice play by Gable there, coming to the rescue of his teammate.
Carolina team that will get better as this season goes along. They've got the #1 recruiting class in the country. They led Virginia at the half, but UVA with 5 unanswered here in the third. We come up on 30 seconds to play in the quarter. O'Connell will probe from the restraining area. Using the sub game, Henry Schertzinger from the wing. Back to Schertzinger, now Tillman. 15 seconds. Tillman against Evan Zinn. Lost his man. Tillman slipped. Kelly's got it. Schertzinger. 5 seconds. On the doorstep, Tillman. Chaos in front. Ball behind the cage. And time expires. Virginia pitches a third quarter shutout. Connor Schellenberger continues his tour de force. 3 goals, 3 assists tonight. Peyton Cormier, after 6 goals last time out, he's got a hat trick tonight. Virginia up 4, heading into quarter number 4.
Yes, Chef.
Imagine the memories you'll make.
Weekend. From the outside, William Perry. Schellenberger, Peter Garneau rifles it past for the reigning champions, bringing the heat.
This game's slipping away.
Perry scores! It's a 1-goal game. Time running down. Gray. It's knocked down. Reigning champs. Hang on. Anish Shroff, Quint Kesnick, Paul Carcaterra. Similar story to the semis last year. Virginia took a 4-goal lead into the 4th quarter. Carolina used its ride. Virginia could not clear in that 4th quarter. North Carolina got to within 1, had a chance to tie late, and Virginia was able to hold on.
This game is a game of momentum. And the little plays, the ground ball plays, the face-off plays, the ball retention plays add up. So if you're Carolina right now, it starts with a ground ball. Make the next play, and then good things happen.
Virginia has led the country in ground balls for what seems like the last decade or so. And if you're wondering, how did they do that, Quint?
Well,
Vincent Breedis, former sports information director at Virginia,
Leave him alone.
was a terrific official scorer.
It goes back to Doyle Smith.
Poor Vince.
We love Vince. We miss Vince. One of the best in the business. Now at Bowling Green. We miss you, pal. And here's Lance Tillman.
He's struggled tonight because of the field, right? Like he seems to be falling all the time, right there again.
Great point.
He's falling all the time.
He's a change of direction. We've seen him do great work on turf up at Hofstra last year in the quarters.
Saladay's shot, that's not the one you want. Greg gets rid of it quickly. Up ahead to Barton. Now Marr. To Solomon on the wing. And how about Matsui flying in there for Virginia? Jurassic Park. 17 saves for Colin Krieg tonight. And the 2 regular season games against Virginia last year, he had 20 and 15. Here's the freshman, Antonio DeMarco. Looking for a cutting Harrison Schertzinger, right idea.
It's a tough pass, though, isn't it, Paul? Sometimes
it's a tough pass.
To throw back across your body that way.
Small percentage of guys are going to catch that, right? It's the right look, but a bad pass.
18 turnovers now for Carolina. Virginia gives it back.
I feel like Carolina needs a juice goal, like from someone not named Chris Gray, or a transition goal. I just feel like they're lacking a little juice right now.
But we've seen this at times in the 6-on-6. If you can make it a half-field game with Carolina, they're so reliant on that attack. Last year, they could stretch the field with Perry and Anderson, and you had the creativity of a Tanner Cook. This midfield's still a work in progress. Gray, and this is going to belong to Virginia. Nunes winning the hustle.
Nunes is fired up behind the net.
You saw Gray right there going against Kastner. I think Kastner has been fantastic one-on-one against Gray. Gray as a Dodger, for me, he's at his best when there's quick ball movement, right? And that time it was like a settled dodge. I want him off of a couple of passes, then dodging.
Gray has just 1 goal, 7 shots.
It's a nice clear by Virginia.
Dixon over to the wing, off the stick of Simmons. Wallhead in pursuit. Big ground ball. Saladay off the scramble. Moore wants it. He's open on the wing. Oh, they had Matt Moore, who had a clean lane to the goal. Instead, it's North Carolina ball.
Longhead made 2 huge plays on the far side, and then he tracks Saladay down.
Yes, the hustle play, Clark. Huge.
And again, Carolina's clearing struggles continue. O'Connell able to recover. O'Connell galloping downfield, over to Tillman. Backpedaling. Kelly's got the backup for UNC.
Looked like he had Solomon parked, right? Right on that right pipe. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. Everyone's losing their footing right now, too.
Seems like it's gotten worse.
Yep.
Yes.
Tillman against the freshman Chismar. Back to Henry Schertzinger. Gray against Kastner. Feeding to Solomon inside. Nunes! The denial on the doorstep.
Super athletic save, and now the counterattack.
Mitchell Whalen, 43. They call him the killer whale. That ball was tipped. So it stays with Virginia. And Matt Moore limping a little bit. He'll trigger. Remember, he missed a game with an injury.
Left side of your screen. Watch the freshman from the Woodlands, Texas. Matt Nunes. We were raving about his movement skills. Look at his balance and his ability to snuff it out down low.
What are you reading in that spot, Quint? Or is that just...
You're reading the head of the stick, but you're also sensing the body language of the shooter. That is the hands and the shoulders. But you're always focused on the ball, in the pocket, off the lip, in the air, into my stick.
There's Schellenberger. He's got right hung up. Eyes always up. Right meets him. Comes to Cormier, nearly a turnover. Less than 20 to shoot. Cormier has it stick checked away. Dixon corrals it. Moore with a rocket. And Carolina with possession.
I want Matt Wright on my team.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He's laying out.
One of the fastest guys. He's got a shot down the road, Clark, to play for Canada. I know he's...
Shot, yeah, without question, because it's not like it's a defensive factory up north. I think he's a no-brainer next kind of stage.
Ontario native.
Defender, yeah.
Played for the Hill Academy. Good high school football player.
Nunes comes out to meet Gray. Retreats into the cage. Harrison Schertzinger out of the box.
Carolina's got one more push here. I sense it.
That's where you miss a William Perry, a Justin Anderson.
Time for the young ones to step up.
This guy, 44, and he can rip it,
yeah.
man. He's got a cannon.
PJ Zinzer. Cole Herbert had a great look.
That's the step down, right? That's the step down we've seen Justin Anderson and William Perry can for 4 years, right?
We saw that in the semifinal. William Perry had himself, what, 4 or 5 goals?
Yeah.
Harrison Schertzinger. Carolina's missed its last 14 shots. There's the double, well timed. Here's Zinzer, and he pings the back of the net. First goal of the second half for UNC.
And I thought it was critical, Quint, to have that goal come from a non-Chris Gray player, right? Like, get everyone involved, get everyone believing. Everyone's getting a touch here.
Double team drawn, step down city. Zinzer from Gonzaga in DC, the Elite 90 winner last season at the Final Four for his awesome GPA.
Yeah, he steps into that, bounces it offside on a guy like Nunes. Nunes read the level, right? But the shot...
Too much power.
Yeah, too much power.
Defensively, they got to rotate behind it. You double there, somebody's got to go.
Third goal of the season for Zinzer. Tucci had the face-off one. Whalen took it away. He lost it to Barton. 24 in blue. Paul Barton, his dad, a Carolina legend. Harris Barton has his number honored at Kenan Stadium. Great offensive lineman. Ended up winning 3 Super Bowls with the 49ers.
We saw him this summer playing. We knew, like, this guy was going to be hard to keep off the field.
Going to be a star. So you stop the bleeding, North Carolina. Now you go on your run.
It's been a game of runs. O'Connell matched up on Zinn, the Hopkins transfer. Now Henry Schertzinger. Picked up by Zinn. Curves around the crease.
It's good defense.
Now Gray against Kastner. Gray's feed for Schertzinger. Off target, another turnover for North Carolina. That's 19.
You called it, Clark. Evan Zinn holding his ground. Grayson Soliday down low, holding his ground, winning those matchups.
Yeah, they're going to attack those short sticks of Virginia because outside of Gray, the attack not known to be Dodgers, right? Jacob Kelly, a really good lefty shooter. Nicky Solomon, like a right-handed version, stylistically maybe different.
Carolina in the 10-man ride. And they're able to force the turnover. Solomon picks it up by midfield. Gray looking for Marr off his stick. Matsui fell down. We come up on 7.5 to play. Herbert. Harrison Schertzinger, 5 in blue. A terrific off-ball midi. Over to Zinzer. He has Carolina's lone second-half goal. Zinzer snakes around the crease, looking for Herbert, and that's over and back. Quick restart. Here comes Schellenberger. Shadowed by Matt Wright. Here's Jeff Connor. Virginia plans to use him as a two-way midi this year, a la Ryan Conrad. 6.5 to go. They got Zinzer on defense, and Moore's got the matchup.
He played a lot of offense, too. He's gassed. They need to hold this matchup.
Gable on the switch. Moore, shot saved, Krieg. Big ground ball, Schellenberger keeps it in. And that's a new 60 for Virginia this year. Little wrinkle in the rule. Shot clock resets to 60 when the attacking team retains possession. And now this Carolina defense has to work some more. And you still have Zinzer out there.
He's on Cormier, 24 in orange. If I'm 24 in orange, I want the ball here.
Alex Bresci eyes up Jeff Connor. Schellenberger going to set the pick. Nope, Connor doesn't take it. Now feeds Schellenberger. Gets top side. Schellenberger rifles it in. 4 goals for Shelley. A 7-point evening.
He doesn't miss, Clint.
Last 9 games, he's been shooting only strikes. I couldn't be more impressed with Virginia's execution of that last possession that started at the 6:30 mark. They got multiple shots. They put pressure on the defense, and guess who finishes it off?
You have a star in Schellenberger, and his coach knows it.
Yes, Chef.
Imagine the memories you'll make.
15-11, Virginia on top. We're now getting into the teeth of conference play. This is Virginia's second ACC game, UNC's first. 5-0 for Virginia, best start under Lars Tiffany, and next week, a championship rematch at Audi Field in DC against Maryland.
Going to be huge. And you look around the ACC this weekend, the Fighting Irish, yeah, they're 1-2, but the quality losses to Georgetown and Maryland. I love Notre Dame this year, except for the face-off position. It's kind of a glaring weakness.
This, for me, though, the ACC can answer the bell, right? Because they took some losses early in the season. You have a team like Duke that lost to Penn and Jacksonville, and Carolina loses to Ohio State. If the ACC goes 3-0 this weekend in those games that we just showed, it's a statement.
You saw the last one there, Syracuse-Hopkins, great rivalry, more added juice. Dave Petramala, a Cuse assistant, returning to Homewood to take on the Blue Jays. You guys will be calling that game Sunday.
I'm excited to watch Tucker Dordevic and Brendan Curry from
how good have
Syracuse.
they been this
Those
year?
guys have held that whole franchise on their shoulders. Really amazing.
The one thing that was kind of telling for me, when Syracuse went down by a lot last year, the energy wasn't there. This year, even in their losses, I felt like they've been fighting.
Hey, look at the Maryland game. They were down early. They came back, made that a game.
Virginia game, they were down. They made that run in the middle of the game.
With
Those guys, they're playing hard.
Yeah,
they're playing their guts out.
And with attitude like that, they will clip someone this year, maybe that they shouldn't, right?
Yeah.
And expectations are different for this year's team. New coaching staff, they lost a lot of talent. Getting to the NCAA tournament would be a big deal. Schellenberger to Cormier. We're running out of superlatives for one in orange. But what is your favorite part about his game?
That he does literally everything. That's my favorite part, and that I don't know what's next, if that makes any sense. Like when I watch him, his tendencies really don't exist, right? Like when he comes around goal line extended, is he a high overhand shooter? Does he drop his stick? He changes all the time. So when you scout him, you sit there and you ask yourself, like, what can't this guy do, and how do I find tendencies? Because there aren't any.
The great quarterbacks in football throw guys open. They see coverage develop before it does. They put the ball before the receiver's out of his break. To me, that's Connor Schellenberger. Like, his spatial awareness, his ability to forecast and project the movement of bodies is beyond elite. It's one of the best that we've seen in the last decade.
And it's not by accident. I mean, here is a young man who put more time into his game than probably anyone out there. You know, shot thousands of balls a week. We mentioned Scott Schellenberger, his dad. He was a golfer, had no lacrosse experience. He would just throw him balls in the backyard. They'd find a field. Relentless approach to greatness, right? It's not by accident.
And remember, he kept a detailed notebook. That was part of Connor Schellenberger's preparation. He would document everything. You mentioned the attention to detail, constantly improving. I remember what Lars Tiffany told us toward the end of last year. Guys look to him like he's a senior when he was a redshirt freshman a season ago.
And his efficiency is off the charts, too. He had like 8 turnovers coming into this game. For a guy who handles the ball as much as him, it's silly.
The mistakes in his game are so few based on the production. It's an amazing ratio.
When he leaves Virginia, and he's still got 2 more years left, that is scary. We're going to talk about him the way we talk about Knight and Watson and Stanwyck and all the other greats, Matt Ward, that start offensively, Ratelli.
And he's different than all of them.
Listen, there's a very real chance he might be the best of the bunch by the time he's done.
To make Team USA, and I talk about it a lot, the amount of pros out there right now that are incredible at the attack position, it goes on and on and on. I'd have a hard time believing you keep him off Team USA. He'll be the youngest player on Team USA if he tries out this summer. He's that good.
Chris Gray has been Hercules for Carolina this year. He has willed them and carried them. Out of bounds. And it belongs to Virginia.
That's a big-time effort play in front of the Cavalier bench. It's a hard-working program. Pressure is on this group.
Power. That's not a bad idea. That's a shot. You get the backup. It's a way to beat the ride.
Yeah. Because where's the pressure, right? The pressure is all moving towards the ball.
And here's the thing. That was not a shot on goal. That was the old Maryland possession shot. But if the listen, if the officials are going to let you get away with that and count that as a shot, it's a good move.
Easiest way to clear against the 10-man. Take a 60-yard shot, you back it up, you get the restart. Look at Zinn's speed.
You got to find the loophole.
When he jogs, he's fast.
2.5 to go. Virginia leading North Carolina. Over in Brooklyn, you got UVA and UNC in the ACC basketball tournament quarterfinal. That game on ESPN.
Joe Tsai probably sitting courtside right now with the lacrosse game on his app, on his phone.
I'm sure a lot of fans are.
Yale's got a big game this weekend against Denver.
Yeah, Yale needs to get it going.
Clock violation here.
What do you want to see from the Bulldogs?
I just think Yale can play better. I think, they missed out on last year. Not all the Ivies missed out last year. Brown had some practices, Penn practiced.
Good point.
Yale didn't get as much out of last season as the other Ivies.
Wait, before we write off North Carolina, what's the ticket back for the Tar Heels? There's still time here. Okay.
Somebody's got to go to the rack. Starts with that.
Nunes takes it away.
That's smooth, man. Matt Nunes didn't play a great first quarter. Virginia was down 5-2. No big deal. No big deal. The freshman showed a lot of resolve, comes back, and he's super comfortable.
Virginia's defense in the second half has held Carolina to 1 goal. A lot of it started with the ride.
Call me crazy, but I almost think Nunes struggling a little bit in rebounding could be good for his overall development.
Yeah. Well,
right?
again,
because
this is his first time through it. Exactly.
Yes.
It's a Thursday night game on National TV against a league rival. This is a new beast.
But the struggle and then rebound.
O'Connell down the alley, another save by Nunes.
You know what I didn't see from Carolina in the second half was dodging off of quick ball movement. That's what I thought was the biggest difference. And that's Chris Gray's calling card. Like, when the ball moves quickly and then you put it in his stick, he is masterful at making a decision to becoming a dodger, depending on the approach from the defense, or a passer. And you really didn't see that, right? Like, the flow of the offense seemed to be different in the second half.
Q, you look at what Cole Kastner did, especially in the second half against Chris Gray. He's got to be the front runner right now for Defenseman of the Year.
I was actually going to say it about a minute ago. A game like this, with the caused turnovers, with the havoc, with limiting a great player, Cole Kastner has got to be in the top 3 right now.
Will Bowen, I think, has been fantastic for Georgetown. Kastner has to be in that discussion.
Virginia's defense put a pin on it in the second half, holding Carolina to just 1 goal. UNC had a 10-9 lead at halftime. 6-1 Virginia in the final 30 minutes. The Cavaliers stay undefeated, and they get a titanic matchup and a rematch with Maryland from the national championship next week in D.C.
Quinn, I feel like Virginia has separated themselves nationally along with Maryland, but Carolina's performance, I think, was kind of a notice to the rest of the ACC that league play is different.
Carolina has shown massive improvement.
Yes.
That bodes well. They're still a young team. Virginia, they're one of the Titans, without a doubt. Memorial Day or bust.
Princeton in the mid-90s. Syracuse, 88-90. Hopkins, 78-80. The only schools, the only teams to win 3 straight national titles. Now Virginia's got a chance to do that. Titles in 19. We didn't have one in 20. They won it last year. 6-0 this year. And a championship rematch coming next weekend against Maryland.